Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
The Richness of Our Lives podcast. This is Mary Scott. And today my guest is from Boise, Idaho in the US, so a long way from me, which is very exciting. Now, this woman is an adventurer. That's probably her middle name. I don't know if she would tell you that, but that's how I see her. And what I'd like to do is welcome Laureen Quick, who is a navigator, particularly for women over 50 that have been empty nesters that really are just looking for more. Laureen, welcome, and thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me. I am so delighted to be here, Mary.
That's
Absolutely.
fantastic. Oh, that's good. The feeling is very mutual.
Good.
Because we haven't known each other for a long time, but my goodness, you've made your mark on me with your adventure, your writing, and I think you're just no nonsense getting on with it. Is that a fair thing to say about you to kick us off?
Well, it's very complimentary, so thank you for those kind words. I am truly honored. And yeah, sure, of course it is, because that's what I am. That's who I am. I do think adventure should be my middle name. That sounds like a good idea.
You've got quite an opinion about adventure. Tell us more. Let's go with that.
I believe all life on this earth is here to expand and grow. And adventure is a way for that to happen. And it can be small adventures. It can be big adventures. It can be adventures that take you all over the world. They can be adventures that take you inside yourself. I don't care what kind of an adventure it is. It's just that is the way I know how to access my heart and how to really experience joy on this planet, which allows me to be my authentic self and ultimately, I think, help other people do the same thing.
Tell me more about that gives you access to your heart. That's a lovely term. Tell me more.
When I am doing things that take me out of my comfort zone, right? So I'm pushing myself on a trail, or I'm traveling to another country that I don't speak the language and I have no idea what I'm doing. It creates an opportunity for me to hear my inner voice inside telling me, "Oh, Laureen, this is good. You're great. I can hear all of those affirming messages that I am totally in charge and will make whatever has to happen, supposed to happen, that I want to happen, happen." It just touches who my spirit is. And it also, in that moment, when I feel connected to my spirit, I feel connected to God, and I feel like my heart expands. And I have more compassion, not just for myself, but for myself for sure. And then I also have compassion for other people and just the beauty that is around us in this world. It's, oh my gosh, how could we be so blessed to be here? And why would we waste a second not enjoying that?
Yes, that's absolutely true. It opens the gates. That's what it does, doesn't it? That's what you're saying. It opens the gate. It expands us. I love this whole notion of expandedness because from what I observe, there's a lot of people contracting, withdrawing, and not participating, not only just in their own lives, but in the fully extended community they live. What do you think about that?
Well, I think first it's just tragic. Because again, I don't think that's why we're here. I think people are afraid and scared, and they allow those fears to say, well, the only way to stay safe is to stay small, to not be noticed, to not make waves, to not be who you are, which is really to fully access yourself and to experience life completely. So there's a lot of fear. And some of it, I do believe, Mary, I do believe that some of that fear is external. There are things, forces in the world that we should be afraid, unfortunately. But I also think a huge part of that is all internal. It's belief systems that, we have to hide, that we have to be small, that we have to pretend we're not who we are, because if we do any of those things, if we are big, if we be who we are, something bad's going to happen.
That's right.
And yeah, so it's fear. And again, it's tragic. It in my
Yeah,
heart, it's truly tragic.
that's true. So, what does that word mean to you? Adventure.
Adventure for me is, well, a couple of layers to answer that question. First, it is stepping outside your comfort zone. It's going beyond what is normal for you, what you know, and experiencing something very different. And so you can have an adventure by ordering food that you've never eaten before. You can have an adventure watching a type of movie that you would never watch. At the same time, for me, adventure also involves my friends. I can adventure by myself, and I have, and I do enjoy that. And actually, I try to get time throughout my year where it is just me adventuring on my own. But the true pleasure for me comes when I'm sharing that with other people and they are supporting me and encouraging me, and I'm doing the same back. I'm supporting them and encouraging them, but they're also helping me to see myself in different ways. So I'm pushed to go even further, and we celebrate that, all of us. So friendship is an important part of adventure. I like to adventure, especially with my girlfriends.
How do they help you to see yourself in different ways, Laureen?
Each one of them is a little bit different. So I can think of a friend right now who, oh, she always tells me, you can do this. Why are you even doubting yourself? Well, move on, take another step, go forward. Always encourages me to go beyond what I think I can do. I have another friend who is the epitome of kindness and compassion. And so when we're together, I see her and how she interacts with the world, and I think, I could be that too. I can be more compassionate. I can be more kind. So she role models for me characteristics and qualities and ways of being in this world that I want to embrace. And without her example, I might not see how I could do that. So I learn something from every person I meet. They help me expand me. They help me grow. And I'll be really honest, if you aren't that kind of person, if instead you want to constrict me, or my experience with you is constricting, I don't actually hang out with you very much, right? You're not on my list to on a hiking adventure. You're the last person I'm going to call. So I am really particular about who I hang out with. And because of that, I get great joy. I have great joy with all my friends.
How
And
important do you, oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm just gonna say, and I feel very blessed with the friends that I have. I am so grateful for them.
Yeah, I imagine that they're grateful for you as well. It would go both ways.
I hope so. I hope so.
That's lovely. What was I going to ask? How important do you think it is to be discerning about who you surround yourself with?
It is critical. It is absolutely critical. I believe we all have an energy field, and I think that's why we're connected, because we have very similar energy fields, you and I. And so we lift each other up. And I am always looking for women who lift me up. And in return, I want to offer the same thing back. When you are surrounding yourself with people who do not lift you up but drag you down, people who have a whole bunch of rules, expectations about who you should be and how you should behave, and whether or not you're adding value to the world in a negative way, again, it goes back to that constriction we talked about, right? They start to make you feel small. They start to make you doubt yourself, or you become small and petty. And just like them, you think in ways that are not not expansive, but actually contracting your life and the world. So, it's the same with like social media. People always say to me, well, I think I'm going to leave Facebook because all I ever see are all these negative people complaining all the time about everything. And I'm like, well, on my Facebook feed, I just have all these really cool people who are telling me about all the cool things that they're doing in their lives. And that's because I only like and comment on people who are doing cool things and interesting things. So it's same in life, right? The who you hang out with. What is it they say? The five people you hang out with the most will determine who you will become in the next 5 years.
Correct.
And I actually think the five people that you hang out the most determine who you are right now. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait 5 years. Right now, they will shape who you are. And if they enjoy life, if they embrace adventure, you will enjoy life. You will embrace adventure. If they see everything from the eyes of a victim, you will begin to see everything from the eyes of a victim. So you can't afford. I mean, I always say to people I'm 66, so I always say to my clients and to my friends, I don't have another minute to waste on anything that's going to take me out. I have things I want to do. I have places I want to go. I want to have so much joy in the last 3, 4 decades of my life that maybe they'll make a movie about me when I'm gone. Who knows? But you don't have a second to waste, not a second to waste on anything that takes you out. And people can do that.
I noticed you used the word joy quite a few times already today, speaking to me. How important is joy to firstly yourself and to the world as a whole, do you think?
So when I work with a client who's going through a major transition and they're like, I just don't even know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I say, the only thing you have to do is follow your joy. I work off the model of Joseph Campbell, who said, follow your bliss. And so I tell my clients, don't worry about what needs to be done today. Don't worry about what's on the to-do list or whoever told you this has to happen in this time frame. Forget it all. Just simply do everything and anything that brings you joy. And what happens when you go through that experience is eventually a vision emerged for who you want to be, who you want to become, and who and how you want your life to play out if you just have joy all around you. So then when you do that and you live your life, you begin to realize that joy is a choice and you can discipline yourself to say, that's all I want. I only want joy. So if this is not bringing me joy, I'm not doing it. Someone else can take care of that one.
It's a great criteria for life, isn't it? If there's no joy, I'm not doing it.
Absolutely. I mean, and really, I mean, why would you do anything that didn't bring you joy? I mean, I'm asking that now at this point because that's all I do. Generally speaking, I'm 99% of my day is full of things that bring me great joy and happiness. And that 1% is something that I really have to do because I have to file my taxes. That has to happen. But even that brings me joy when I get my refund.
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
a lot of life, I loved your scenario about Facebook, and it's a great reflection of how we live our life. If you're getting doom and gloom in social media or any, not just Facebook, it's pretty well a good reflection of who you are in the world. It's a good reality check. Hey, if this is happening, you need to change some things and seek. I've got a friend Richard, who's been saying this for years. Seek joy. Like if he writes an email, it's seek joy. If he's saying goodbye, he says seek joy. And it's just beautiful because I think that it is up to us to find joy in the little things, in the things that really matter to our hearts.
There's a lot of joy to be had. There really is. And it's not all in big, again, it's not all in big things. I love that message and might have to make that my sign off on all my emails. Seek joy. Because yeah, why would you do anything else?
Well, that's right. It's a great tagline.
It
And
really is.
what we think about, we bring about. And you're already doing that. You're
Yes.
already seeking joy. So you may as well manifest it in the spoken word, give it some body, if you like. It's a lovely thing. I like when I first heard him say it, and I'm talking 20 years ago, it's like, and a man saying that, Richard. But it really stuck. And I remember when he first said it to me, I was like, that's quite a deliberate action that you're actually requesting. It's an invitation, isn't it? Seek joy.
Yes, and yeah, I actually love that. I think it's quite beautiful. It brings me joy to hear that in my heart, right?
Absolutely. So you describe yourself as a navigator for women
Do.
over 50. Tell us how you got to that point. Why a navigator? You could call yourself anything. I like it, incidentally, but where'd you
Thank
come?
you. Because, well, first off, a navigator is not, when you say coach, there's a lot of different meanings people associate with that. And I'm not here to do the work for my clients. I am here to help them determine the map. And so a navigator doesn't make the journey by themselves, but a navigator knows the trail, knows the path. And so let me help you navigate that path. But my friend, you must walk it, or you must sail it, or whatever it is that, whatever metaphor we want to work with on that. How I got here was, I mean, I've always been a curious person. I have always sought growth. And I have always believed that I was here on this planet to help myself and others be and become. And everything I've ever done has always been in some way connected to that. As I got older, I woke up when I was 60, my 60th birthday, and I said to myself, I have all these things I've always said I wanted to do. One of them was I wanted to go to Machu Picchu. And what I promised myself on my 60th birthday was I was going to stop talking about all the things I was going to do. And I was either going to start doing them or I was just going to shut up. That's it. You don't get to talk about it anymore. And so in the end, my youngest daughter and I booked a tour to Peru to see Machu Picchu. And we went. Now, I was probably about 60, 70 pounds heavier than I am right now at the time. And when I finally dawned on me after I booked this tour that I was going to actually have to walk through, we didn't do the whole climb up the mountain, right? We took the bus, but I was still going to have to walk through the ruins. This was physically challenging. So I started, walking every day. I would walk for 5 minutes a day, then I would walk for 10 minutes a day, and I just started to get more physically fit. We went to Machu Picchu and we had a lovely time, my daughter and I. And when I got back, I realized that if I want to do more things, I still needed to get healthier and more physically active. So I joined a gym and I started hiking. My oldest daughter, who lives here in Boise, in the Boise area near me, she would be my hiking companion. And one day she came to me and she said, Mom, I need to talk to you. I need to tell you something. I'm like, okay, what? And she said, well, I love you, but I have a busy life. I can't hike with you all the time. You need to get some friends. And it shocked me because it was like, what? I think I thought at the time, looking back now, I think I thought, oh, I was just going to be, hanging out with my daughters for the rest of my life. Ah, little did I understand they have their own lives to live. So I started joining hiking groups and I met other women. And out of that, we would have these conversations about how scared we were, how afraid we were to go on the adventure. how no one supported us to do these things. In fact, sometimes we were actually told not to do these things, right, by our family and our loved ones. More, out of concern, but at the same time, they stopped you. So I began to realize that my own experience in this world of becoming brave and taking action and going on adventures, many, many women are struggling with this, that they want to live their best lives, they want to realize their dreams, and they're scared. Some of them don't think they even deserve it. And that's why I started working one-on-one with women to coach and help them through navigation around, yes, you do deserve this. Yes, there is a way. And yes, I will support you to help you get there. And one of the biggest pieces that I have always said to my clients are, but you won't do this alone. You do need friends. And so making friends also, I learned in our age, Mary, women don't, it's been years since we made friends, right? The only friends we had were the friends of the parents the kids went to the same school, and then they disappeared. And so a lot of us don't have any friends. We don't know what's going on. We don't understand why, but we are looking at 10, 20, 30 years of life ahead of us and wondering, am I going to watch television every night for the rest of my life? I'm dying, right? I'm dying. I have to go out and live. And that's why I got more active as a coach and saying, I want to help you. So I want to help women understand that they're not going through this by themselves. This is part of our development as we age. It's natural. And my gosh, yes, you'll be so much more happier if you start to seek that joy. As your friend Richard said, seek joy in your life. And out of that joy will come a sense of who you are, a sense of identity, and also a life that you will be so happy you're living. I hope that answered the question. It kind of went long on you there. Sorry.
No, oh no, I think it's brilliant. I love the evolution of what you were saying. You need
Yeah.
you need friends. What? It's not, and I think you're right. At our age, it's not something that is usually contemplated because sometimes we feel like, well, what we've got's what we've got, and
Yeah.
that's part of our conversations earlier about adventure and getting out and seeking joy. So or we seek friendships. And you're quite a community person. I mean, you love to write,
I
and
do.
you've got a couple of blogs. Tell me what it is about writing and blogging. What took you to that?
I love to write. I love the written word. I love to read books as well. I enjoy literature and I enjoy writing. And I would say writing is a way for me to communicate a message to people that they can read it at 2 o'clock in the morning, or they can read it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever time works for them. So I think the blog work that I do in terms of writing articles, I really strive to be original and sort of out of the box. I'm not gonna, if we're gonna talk about how to manage stress, I don't want to give you the same 10 steps that everybody else has already given you. I want you to have a different perspective. So I find that a very creative process for me. And again, I find joy in being creative, right? So writing for me is creative, but it's also a way to support and encourage women to embrace who they are, who they want to be, and the life that they want to live. I also write poetry, and that's only been recent. In the last, I got invited to some free workshop over a New Year's, either not last year but the year before, and I discovered I actually really enjoy writing poetry. And what I finally realized just recently about that is I love writing poetry because it gives expression to my feelings. So for me, it's actually a very therapeutic act to write poetry because it allows me to, in a beautiful way, using beautiful words, express how I'm feeling. So that also has been quite joyful for me. And then to answer your question, finally, I do also have the podcast. I do two of them. One is called Unscripted and Unstoppable. I think you were on that. No, no, you weren't on that one yet. I haven't had you on that podcast yet. Unscripted and Unstoppable is really for women over 50 who want to live their best lives. And I interview all kinds of people about their expertise and how that applies to women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. The second podcast is called The Next Chapter CEO. And you were my first guest on that podcast. And that's for the women who are bravely saying, and now that I'm in my 60s, I want to start a business. I want to make a difference in the world through the work that I do in as an entrepreneur. And so that particular podcast and the blog associated with it, the Next Chapter Entrepreneur, both of them are all around running a business, but from the perspective of a 60, 70-year-old woman versus everyone else. And again, in all of that, I strive to bring new and creative ideas to people, new perspectives and creative ideas to people. And so it's an act of creation for me. It's an act of expansion, right?
Absolutely. There's that word again. It's such
Yeah.
a powerful word. And it's my experience that I don't see much of that being expressed as that expansion, which allows us to be fully who we're becoming, because let's face it, we're always becoming. I
We
don't
are.
think we've ever landed if we're truly interested in growth, and you are, and development, then we're always becoming. I keep doing this, and I was thinking, oh, there's the phoenix again, rising up.
Ah,
And,
no,
and I think a lot of what you're saying is fundamental to personal development and how to live your life I'm going to add this because I think this is, to me, when I see you, it's, living life with full gusto, you're really in it. The photos on your social media are just so inspirational. Do you think that personal development's important for everyone?
absolutely. Again, it's like, why would not you want to do that? I don't even know if I did that right with all my double negatives, but why would you not want to grow? Right? I mean, yeah, so it's hard for me to imagine someone who, has their arms across their shoulder and says, I'm here, but I'm not going to learn anything, right?
Yes.
It's what we were born to do. I believe deeply that personal development is why we're on this planet. And we're going to get it whether we read it in a book or whether we have it in an experience. And some of us are going to learn that lesson this little bit, and some of us are going to learn that lesson this big, right? And, I've also learned in life that if you don't learn the lesson, you get to learn it again and
And again,
again
and
and
again.
again and again.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, well, if you don't like the lesson you're going through, well, then learn it and move on, right?
Yes,
Otherwise, you
absolutely.
got to repeat the grade. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
stage of your life did the whole notion of personal development show itself to you?
I honestly, I would say from high school on. When I was in high school, I took a philosophy class, and it kind of shook me up quite a bit because up to that point, I don't think I had really understood that there are many different perspectives on how the world works and what life is about.
Mm.
And then we would read the philosophers and talk about them in class, and it was sort of like, well, but who's right? If you've got five different answers to what's the meaning of life, who's actually right? And then I became to understand, well, that you have to decide for yourself, Laureen, what is right, and then you need to follow that. And whatever I was exposed to, I learned it's about growing. And honestly, I might have learned that intellectually, but I I feel so good when I grow. I'm happy when I am learning things. We went hiking this morning with some girlfriends. I went hiking this morning with some girlfriends, and we got to the end of the trail, but we didn't want to stop. So we kept hiking. We just kept walking down this path and that path, and I pulled out a map, and I had a map of where we're at, so I knew how to get us, back if we needed to. And then we found this little teeny on the map, we found this little teeny trail that would take us down this ravine, and we could just kind of shortcut our way back to the parking lot. And there was a time when I first started hiking, I would never have even considered that option. I had to stay on the trail. We had to stay on that dirt path, and we would never get off of it because it just scared me to think that I might be out there wandering around in some wilderness area and not know where I'm at. And then I was laughing at myself today because I'm the one saying, well, yeah, we could just take this little trail down here and, we'll just be walking, but we're going off trail, right? We're going to go through the wilderness to make this happen. And it just occurred to me, it was like 2 years ago, you would have never said that, Laureen. That made me really happy.
Oh, absolutely. What a great metaphor for life.
Yeah. So, and I know you are all about growth and development too.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're not growing, you're dying. I think it's to me, it's as straightforward as that. It's black and white.
Literally and figuratively. Yes.
Absolutely.
I agree.
It is. And I think, I did a live recently about, I'm allergic to recliners, and
Yeah.
that came about because I was pondering how much knowledge is out there. That's why I'm speaking to you, a woman of great wisdom and knowledge, and it's time to share all that. And you are willing, but I want to dig some people off their recliners so they'll tell me their story. That was the whole, push behind it.
Huh.
And I was thinking before, when you're talking, because you're navigating, you're helping women 50 plus, what's the biggest challenge, do you think, 50 plus women navigating to where from? Tell me about them.
I think the biggest challenge that women 50 and older face is they don't believe they deserve it. They have spent their whole lives, most women, I'm not talking about everyone, but most women, caretaking other people. They have put themselves second for their children, for their husband, for their family, for their job. So in the last 20, 30, 40 years, they have experienced a world where they have said, I'm second on the list. Everyone else is ahead of me. And so now when it's 60 years old and nobody's waiting for me to take care of them, I still think I'm supposed to be second. And there must be somebody out there I should be serving. And that's my purpose, that's my function. And it was my purpose and it was my function for a number of years. But I forgot, before that, that wasn't my purpose. It was just when I started my family, So it takes a moment for women to understand, oh my gosh, now it's my time. Now it's my turn and I'm first. And I mean, I tingle when I say that, because what I'll also tell you is the next issue that comes into play is that everyone around you starts to say, wait a minute, what? Well, you can't do that. What, right? The same daughter who told me, I love her dearly, but the same daughter who said, Mom, get some friends and basically get a life. One day she came back to me and she said, I think you need to see a therapist. I go, I do? And she said, yeah, because you're a little obsessed. You're a little obsessed with all this hiking and this travel. What is that? And I just started laughing, but it was like, I'm not being the mother that I'm supposed to be, right? And I love my daughters, both of them, and I feel like I have a great relationship with them, and they have come to accept me for who I am. But still, there are people who will judge you and say, you should be home. knitting booties for your grandchildren or whatever it is you're supposed to do. So they not only have to begin to believe they deserve it, they also have to deal with the people around them who sometimes very subtly, sometimes very directly tell them, who do you think you are?
Absolutely.
What are
Absolutely.
you doing? Yeah.
That's right. I remember a story. I have to tell it because it's so perfect for this situation. A long time ago, I decided with a friend to go on a balloon ride. You get up early in the morning and it's just, Anyway, this lady needed help to get into the basket and, everyone helped her in. And I said to her, do you mind asking how old you are? She said, 84. And I said, oh my gosh, you're amazing. What does your family think of you being here today? She said, oh, I didn't tell them because I know they would just tell me, don't do that, Mum. What are you thinking about? I'll take my certificate to lunch next Sunday and I'll tell them what I've done with a photo. And I thought, good for you. How's that? I love it. Don't tell them, because she knew already they were going to throw cold water on the situation. And I think that's what takes people out of the game. People that come along and, bash it. And mostly, and you said this at the beginning, it's about fear. Don't do that in case that happens. And it sounds to me you woke up when you're 60 and said, there's a line in the sand, and from now on, I'm getting on with it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to get on with it. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful legacy for everyone, not just to what you might leave, because you're not going anywhere and this
Anytime soon.
That's right.
Let me put it this way. I'm going somewhere, but it will be on a trip.
Yeah.
I will be around for quite a while.
That's right. Me too. But I think it's transformation at its best, isn't it? Like it's almost like you woke up and the transformation it kicked in, all the contemplating, all the academic work, all the reading, all the writing that you'd done came to this moment, and then there was a rocket launch. Is that a fair way to say it?
Absolutely. It was like a switch I think of it as a switch. Somewhere a switch turned on and it was like, that's it. I'm done with all that stuff. It's behind me now and I am moving forward. And I'm having the best time of my life for as long as I possibly can.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Let me ask you this last thing to wind us up. What would you say to people's the first step if they're all caught up in this? Don't do that. You can't do that. Oh, you can't wear that. There's the other one, wearing things. What would you say to people that are looking and searching? What as a navigator, as I'm going to call you an adventurer, a growth specialist. Hey, there's a good one.
Yeah,
what
it is.
Say to our audience out there listening?
I think if I had one thing I could say, it would be start listening to yourself. Stop listening to everyone else around you and start listening to that little voice inside you. And maybe that means you need to be quiet for a little bit, but there is a voice inside you that is your spirit, is your heart, is your soul. And that spirit, that heart, that soul wants only the very best for you. Listen to that voice exclusively. Nobody else.
Beautifully said. And we're going to leave it there because there's nothing I could say to complete this conversation today. That's just beautiful. Laureen, thank you so much. I feel like we'll talk again, and we will. But thanks for sharing so much of an abundant life filled with joy. And I wish you so much more joy and fulfillment. And the message that you bring to other women is very powerful. Thank you very much.
I feel you, and I thank you for the honor of being here today, my friend. And yes, let's keep talking.
episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.